Welcome back to a new mic'd up video. I had a breakthrough with my camera. Essentially, I Google things, figure out. So I think I talked about it in other mic'd up videos, so if you have been a consumer of those videos, you know I've talked about like the 20-minute limit that my camera has had. Well, I guess that is able to be changed with the camera. So I saw, because my camera is pretty old at this point, so it was actually an older video, and I didn't have to do anything with the software or anything. I just had to hold some different buttons on it, and I was a little skeptical because that's usually like you have a Game Boy Advance, you hold a couple buttons for a cheat code or something. But this was for the camera, and I guess it changed a setting in there to where you could record 4K videos for any length of time that your camera allows. Essentially, the amount of space that your SD card would have, and it would show on the bottom of your camera. By default, it's like 20 minutes or whatever, and then it would go further. Now, what's interesting is I don't record my stuff in 4K because that makes the files really large, and I don't. Most viewing people are watching videos are not watching things in 4K, and the amount of time and effort it would take to put everything in 4K for the level of content that I have, I don't really think it's worth it, and I don't think it changes the quality that much, especially with what I'm doing here. 1080p has always looked fine to me. I've never been like, wow, that video looks really bad. And if anything, I think it looks more than fine, and I haven't really noticed the difference in 4K. But that's more of like the displays. Maybe everything will be 4K eventually, but makes the files really big. So I was able to change it to AVC HD, like just a different recording format. It was typically an MP4, and after I messed around with the settings, I was like, well, the MP4, the thing I use normally, was still saying like I had a 20-minute limit, but then I changed it to the other one, and it was like 5 hours. So theoretically, one of these bad boys could be a couple hours long, but the big limiter now is not going to be the SD card or the camera itself, it would just be the battery length, which I would envision being pretty sufficient for just like continuous video, because I will use typically a battery for, I would say, like probably a solid week of just normal training stuff that I would do. So for a couple hours of video at the minimum, or probably, I don't know, it's hard to say because I don't know if it uses more batteries if you turn the camera on and off and you start and stop, if that uses more or if it's one continuous video. I would assume that it's a pretty similar amount, but I have two batteries that I just interchange because I recharge one when the other runs out, and I've never been like, wow, I just charged this 2 days ago, it's like running out of battery already. I usually get a couple workouts in at a minimum, but I figured today would be a good experiment to do it with because I'm not really doing a lot of stuff today. So my workout, let me pull the app open here. Tempo back squats, snatch pulls, and then I changed one of the accessories. It was like a rowing variation. I made a read about flies. I talked about it in the last video with, we wanted me to do leg press and belt squats. I was just not I just don't want to do those. Like those are just going to just put me in pain, and they're not worth it really. I don't think at this stage of my training career. It's more of the smaller muscle isolations, like the leg extension and leg curls that I did. But on this one, instead of the rowing variation, which I don't think would necessarily be a bad one for me to do, and one, I have a barbell and plates, like very easy to do. I decided to do rear delt flies because that kind of goes to the theme of trying to work on my shoulders. And I think besides doing, just regular rear delt flies, to do some like external rotators with the kilo plates I have, that's another benefit of having a bunch of change plates is I have pretty unique loading up to, 5 kilos is 11 pounds. So I can load pretty well to that weight. I don't just have, like with the pound plates, it's 2.5, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and then you have, bigger plates or whatever. So I have a little bit more specialization, I suppose, with that. I don't know if I'll show them on the video, but I did some yesterday of essentially you're laying on the ground with your head on the ground, and then you're doing what will look like if I'm standing here, shoulder press, but imagine on the ground. I call them Supermans. I don't know if that's the actual technical name of it, but I've seen that on several different videos of like, this is good if you have, shoulder pain or whatever, and they do feel challenging. And I think that's one that's good for me to really add in as much as I want. I think yesterday I did 3 sets of 10. I think the last one was a set of 15. I did put them in the video. It was at the end. I don't even know if I talked about them, but I did them at the end. But I did them with the yellow, so the 1.5 kilos. So it's kind of nice. I can kind of chip the weight up a little bit because I have the blues somewhere in here. Oh, I have the blues over there. See, I brought the blues from the gym, so I'd have 2 kilo plates. But like I never load 2 kilos. I always just throw on, a red or whatever. But it's nice to have the full set. But I'm not looking forward to these. Not that they're not heavy. I think the back squats, the tempos are just 132. So I'll do the first set at 130, and then push from there if I'm able to. I think they'll be easier than front squats because the tempo of front squats, the hardest part I found with those was like that mid portion, and it wasn't like the strength of it. It was just like my weight wants to pull me forward, and it's just like you're fighting to hold that position. With the back squat, obviously it's easier to hold that position in it for me. I don't have any things on my knees right now, which is going to make them a little extra sore, but I'll probably keep my glasses on for this session as well because it's, like I said, the back squats, snatch pulls, and then some bodybuilding stuff. It was interesting listening to Seeking Strength talk about how back squats bother his wrist. I'm sure with the loads that he's using, it does have an impact, but thankfully I've never had that issue, and I don't really do anything particularly special or think about what my wrists are doing. Maybe that's why I'm weak, but this is always the hardest one. It was like yesterday. It's like doing the bar with the snatch balance is the hardest rep to do because you're just not fresh, and that's why I like to do a cheeky good morning, and then sneak down in a squat. Trick your body into going into full depth. Which for me, like this position, I could sit in here for an hour straight until my feet are tingling and numb, and be fine. It's getting out of this position where everything starts to get achy, and I start to feel all of the exercises I did the day before. But sitting down here, I'm straight chilling. It's easy to be down here. It's getting back up out of it. Trying to swing myself back up and warm myself up. My mid-back's actually a little bit tight. And actually, what's interesting is, so I had a little bit of knee pain yesterday, nothing today, and now it's onto my left. So, always ignore your pain because it will just go away randomly or switch parts. But I think it's more quad tendon on my left side than knee. Yesterday was actually like under my kneecap a little bit, which is pretty unique because I don't get that too often. And it's mostly just random. It's probably honestly just some frayed cartilage over the years that will catch every once in a while. Oh yeah, that feels good. And if you're judging me because I'm pitched forward, well, I'm warming up. I'm not going to be upright ever. I refuse to be upright. Not really me refusing. My genetics refuse it. Also feels better to kind of lean forward a little bit when you're warming up, just to kind of get through that full range of motion and not be super strict the whole time. Not that I can really be too much. But so far this week, I've been happy with the AI. I don't really... Part of me is like, I don't like that I don't have any snatch and clean jerks today. But, what are you going to do when you're trying to follow the program? Where am I at? 8 minutes. So if I kind of lean by the camera, it's to make sure that it's still recording. Because it says I have 5 hours or so of runtime. So I should be good past the 20-minute mark. And I should be able to do one continuous video, which is, in theory, what I'd want to do with these mic'd up videos anyway. But I didn't know it was a possibility with my camera. And I also didn't realize that it was an arbitrary limit that was set for, like, tax purposes. It wasn't even, like, one that, like, cameras couldn't do before. And I'm, like, rigging it in some sort of way. Like, they could do it. It was just, I guess, something with the European Union and them classifying cameras a different way if they could record after a certain time or a certain length of video. So taxes getting in the way, which is surprising because taxes are always a good thing and they never bother anyone. I mean, who doesn't like paying money for anything, really? But maybe this should be a mic'd up installment of me. I talk about political stuff. Dive into taxes. Everybody loves taxes. Those can be my controversial opinions. I say obvious things that people would disagree with. But I don't think that would make for too interesting content. These are actually the pants from Gabriel Crane, which are really comfortable, but they like fall down. I have another version from him as well. It's hard to tell in the videos if I'm wearing them or not. The other ones are just all black. Those ones feel really comfortable. And Sour Patch Kids really feel good workouts. Now, I don't typically bring the whole bag out here with me. I usually eat a couple and then come out. And really, I do mean a couple. Like, I usually just grab, I would say like 10, like just a little bunch of them, and then eat them, come out. But I only have about 15 left, so I have the whole bag out here. This is not typical. But I have this runtime, so I don't have to rush through this. But I get a red and green one, which is a pretty good Christmas combo. And they're really good. And 12 of those kids have 110 calories, so they're not really too calorically dense. And they're essentially just sugar cubes, so they're not really, a ton bad in them like Skittles and stuff. And actually, Before I say that, I should look. Invert sugar, corn syrup, modified. Well, obviously sugar, invert sugar, which I don't know what that is. Corn syrup, modified cornstarch, less than 2% of tarred acetic. I don't know how to say that. Acid, citric acid, natural and artificial flavors, and then some coloring, which maybe red 40 is bad for me, but I'm eating it. Red 40 can't be bad because that's the best flavor. I'm going to do another set here. I got my shoes on, as you can see. So I obviously will look like Liu Jiajun with my next back squat, I'm sure. Then we'll throw on my knee wraps. Then we'll start loading some weight. I actually don't feel too bad. I took my caffeine a while ago, but it's less. So I just got some pre-workout from Walmart because I was waiting for some to get through Amazon. Which I actually got, I think it's like Gatorade brand pre-workout because it was just cheaper. That's mostly when I look. I either take a caffeine pill, but I kind of like drinking a pre-workout. A lot of them are really expensive though, and I just want caffeine. But I suppose some of the other things that put in there, like beta-alanine, are probably, not bad to have. But the Gatorade one, I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know, how it tastes and whatnot. But it was pretty cheap, which is good. And I need cheap pre-workout because I don't need, like I said, anything too fancy. But the pre-workout I got from Walmart, I think it's like 6-Star Nutrition. It's like their brand that you only see in Walmart. Usually, I've only seen it with protein. I didn't know they had pre-workout till I ordered it, but it was actually pretty cheap. And I think one of the reasons it's cheap is that it has 30 servings, and so they can put that it's cheap per ounce of it or whatever. But you're supposed to take 2, which I have only been taking 1 because 2 servings is 320 milligrams of caffeine, and obviously half of that's 160. And that's actually like a really good amount for training for me. But 200's always been what I take. That's never been a problem. But if I can take a little bit less than that and still train normally, then I think that's a net positive. Because then if I'm going to a competition and I'm jacking it up, to 500 plus, then I'm gonna be lit up, which is what you kind of want to save it for. Those like really important sessions. I would say typically, in the last couple weeks before I started AI, the big time, we'll do another set here. Just keep warming up so I don't get cold. But I would take the most caffeine on Saturdays because those are always the big sessions. And I obviously can, go to bed whenever on Saturday. So it's not a, if I'm laying up at night at 1 o'clock in the morning, it's not a big deal. But honestly, on those days, I usually sleep pretty good. When we work out really hard, it nullifies some of the effects of caffeine. I don't know the exact scientific terminology of it. Let's see if we're still recording. We're just vibing. 13 minutes in, so we're at 7 minutes until the countdown of Armageddon, if my camera's going to turn off or my camera's going to troll me or not. The other big factor is if I can actually get the video edited because it's in a different format, but I don't think, theoretically, that it should be an issue. I suppose if you're seeing this video at this point, then I figured it out. But maybe it was so terrible and cumbersome I won't do it again, but honestly, I like not having that 20-minute limit. Especially, that's actually, I think one theory that people had was that it kept cameras from like overheating and stuff. One of the benefits of training when it's cold is you're not going to have, your equipment's not going to overheat. It's not really that cold today. Most reason I have the hat on is for the mic. It's actually the only reason. And I remember that I had this Browns hat in my work bag because I had quote unquote lost it for a couple days, but I just realized it was in that bag. And it's actually like 50 in the low 50s today, so it's not too bad. But we'll get this on. We'll do one more rep. I don't normally do this many reps with the bar. I'm giving you a false sense of what I do to warm up. Usually I just do a couple reps and say, screw it, we're adding weight. But most of the time, so I suppose it's different. Most of the time in my sessions, I'm doing something before squats. I don't typically like start with a squat. So it is kind of, if you are starting with the movement like a squat, you don't typically start with, it is kind of important to warm up a little bit more. Because if you're doing like snatches and clean jerks and stuff, obviously you're going to be a little bit warm from those. Oh, I guess I should do a tempo one to warm up. My goal with the tempos is not to have a count on the way down, but is to control the eccentric into the bottom and then jump up like normal. So basically, however long that takes, and just go slow. When I did that with front squats, my quads got sore the next day. So when I did that 470, I wish, that 170 front squat double, my quads were actually sore from the previous day of training, which is interesting. Interesting when that happens. I mean, in general, it's always interesting if my quads get sore from any exercise, just because how frequently they're trained. They don't typically get sore. Like, I would have thought, with the amount of leg extensions I did yesterday, that my quads would be pretty sore, like they were the first day I did them. And I went pretty hard on the leg extensions. Let me get these pants tied so you don't see any plumbing situations happening with my backside. But I did a lot of leg curls, well, not so much leg curls, but I did a lot of leg extension. I did some leg curls too. And I got a decent pump. It's hard for me to really get excited about a pump because I'm not a bodybuilder. Nor if I have the weirdest, like, innate feeling about pumps where I just don't really like them. Part of me is like, yeah, you feel bigger, but like I also feel restricted. And so, like, getting a big bicep pump, I feel like I'm less mobile. And that's always been, I remember having that feeling, like when I was 15, 16, it's like, yeah, you feel like you're bigger, but then it's like, I can't move. And for me, it's like, at that point, I'd like to still, even when I quit playing basketball around that time, you still like to shoot a basketball occasionally. And if you're really pumped up, you do a bunch of upper body stuff, you don't shoot a basketball very well, if you didn't know. It's quite difficult. But you try to shoot it with like a big upper body pump and whatnot, you just can't shoot at all. And so I guess I've always kind of had a performance bias. Whenever I've been lifting, it's always to, what my dad always said, it's to prevent injury, then it's to increase performance, and then the third is to look better. For me, I've never really cared about the look part of it, because you can put lipstick on a chicken, but it's still a chicken. Now let me tell you, you can put lipstick on me, but I am still a chicken. All right, so this will be a tempo. We'll just do a single. Feels great. It's fantastic. It actually doesn't feel too bad. Oftentimes, it's important to be over dramatic about your training, because then you end up focusing a bit more. Or am I just making that up? You'll never know. We'll jump. Take a big boy jump to 120. Do a single there. And then honestly, just between you and me, I think we'll just start at 140. Because 140 just looks better than 130. And honestly, I'm not here to get stronger. I'm here just to make it look like I'm getting stronger. Because, I mean, what looks better, if I loaded this with my old plates or these beautiful plates? It just looks like I'm doing more weight. It's only 265. It just looks better. And that's the most important thing when it comes to lifting. That's actually the smartest thing Clarence talked about. Clarence Kennedy talked about, like, his squatting and stuff. And when they asked him why he squatted so deep or the way he did without any equipment and whatnot, he's like, it just looks better. And that's an important thing to have when you lift, is an eye on the aesthetics of what you're doing. That's one way to improve your technique, and literally any lift that you do when you're recording it is you want it to look better. So if it looks bad, you look at the video, you want to try to improve on something that makes it look better. Now, figuring that out might be a little bit more difficult, but if you just have that focus of, I did this lift, I want to make it look better, you're probably going to fix something or find something that you need to be fixed. And I found that to be true even before I even knew who Clarence Kennedy was. Because you kind of look at yourself on video and you're like, I don't want to look stupid. That's kind of a natural thing, I think. But we're at 120 now. We'll do another single here. I don't know if I'll be able to talk through this rep. Probably shouldn't, right? Before 120 snaps me up. Not too bad. Not too bad. When you take a big jump like that, it's always important to understand the context of what you just did. So going from 70 kilos to 120, it's going to feel more difficult than, it's going to make 120 feel more difficult than it would otherwise if I took smaller jumps. But considering I took that big jump, it doesn't feel too bad. And that's kind of the, I don't know if it's just a trick or an actual thing, but when you understand the effect of a big jump on the perceived exertion on a rep, you get used to that feeling and you're able to correlate that with future sessions. So if you always go from 135 to 225 in pounds, and you always do that jump, going from 155 pounds to 265 pounds is going to feel different. It's going to feel more difficult. Even going, your first set's at 135, or I should just say in kilos and not keep going back and forth. But if you always start at 60 kilos and then you go starting at 70 kilos, the 70 kilos might feel a little bit different that first time. Probably not, because that's not really too big a difference. But then taking those big jumps, those like 50 kilo jumps, are going to feel a lot different. Particularly, I've noticed that with squats. For pulls, I mean, you kind of see how I treat pulls. I just abuse them. I just start at whatever weight I've done with squats and go with go with anything, and never really have too big of an issue. But with squats, I think it's more finicky, at least for me. I'm not built for them as much. But it's also important to just always do the same jumps and just practice doing the same jumps over and over and over. Because then you get used to them, and then you can use your proprioceptive sessions from the previous sessions to assess how difficult or how good you feel on a particular day. So then it becomes information that you're able to use. And that's why I think, for the most part, warm-up should always kind of just be the same weights, because then you just kind of always have good information. I'm not necessarily advocating for everyone to take red, green jumps on everything, but once you get to a certain point and you get comfortable with it, it does save you time, it does save you energy, and I mean, kind of looks cooler. Kind of looks like I'm stronger I'm stronger than I am if I can do a 50 kilo jump, at least the 120. I can for squats. I've done that for a while. Gone red. I think I even tried to go from 170 to 220, but that's real heavy. That's real heavy, and that's a real heavy percentage to do. But we got a triple here. We're hopefully make it easy. I don't got music on. We're just gonna vibe, listen to the sounds of my body cracking into the dirt. So 140. The second rep, I definitely kind of cheated that bottom part. I felt it, so I tried to do a better one on the third one. I won't really know what any of them look like till I get to the this video and kind of glance through them, but they honestly didn't feel too bad. So the app says a 4 kilo jump, which only psychopaths do. And I'm crazy. Well, I'm not crazy enough to do a 4 kilo jump on a squat. So we're going to go to 145. Did I put that as 4 reps in reserve? I could have probably put 5. But I think 5 kilo sounds like a good jump. Let's see what the app would say if I would do 5 RIR. We'll see how the AI would change it. Just 148, so it's not really freaking out today on me. 145 is a good number. Pleasantly surprised. It's I think I might have said that for like every session this week. Like, I'm surprised like how well I'm lifting on these different days. I don't really know why. I don't really want to question it, because it's not really the AI itself, because it's only been a couple days on it, so it's not like the program's magical like that. But I have been surprised with how I've felt or how hard I've worked the previous day, and then how I've come into a session and performed. I don't think that will necessarily continue, through the whole program. It'd be really nice if it did, but an auxiliary factor to that, because obviously I started the program, this is the 4th day on it, so it's not the AI itself, but that could be a factor, just the mentality of like I'm starting something new, so it just feels better in general. But also, I have been hydrating my body to such a level that I don't think I've ever been as hydrated now as I have been. So I bought some, they're like, I think these generic, like Walmart brand electrolyte packets, and they're sugar free, or at least there's, as they say, a trivial amount of sugar in it. But I will drink, so what's this thing? I keep water by my bed just in case I wake up in the middle of the night. I have something to drink. But this is 32 ounces of water. And basically whatever I don't drink throughout the night, which most nights I don't drink anything. But, you know, it's nice to have it there so you don't have to go over to the bathroom or whatever. Or the kitchen, wherever normal people go to get water. But I will drink that 32 ounces before I go to work. And it's because I have one of those electrolyte packets. If I'm just drinking just straight water, it's kind of difficult to drink that much. But it helps when you have that little bit of sweetness to it. It helps to be able to drink all that. And then at work, a couple of days, I would drink that equivalent of the different kind of cup that I have twice. So that's like 96 ounces of water, just minus, like not even counting the coffee I drink, just in addition. Today I didn't drink as much, so just another 32 ounces at work. But honestly, it's better what I do most days. Most days prior, I just have a little bit of grape juice or whatever in the morning, maybe a little bit of water, but nothing that was like that much. So I think that's definitely been a positive, or something that's been making training in general go better. So that's something I definitely want to continue. I was really surprised with how much water I was able to drink and not like feel like I'm bloated or whatever all the time. Obviously, you kind of have to go to the bathroom more, but I think that's something that if I continue to do this for a couple weeks and hopefully, you know, just do it forever, because being hydrated is probably a good thing, then, you know, my bladder will adjust. Because I will say, from the other end of things, a lot of people when they eat, they have to use, you know, a certain kind of bathroom in the mornings, and for the most part, my body's pretty well regulated to where I'll have to go before I go to work and then after work. But at work, I don't normally have the annoying urge that's kind of annoying to do when you're out of school, if you kind of catch my drift. Now, peeing a lot is also a detriment, but there's certainly other things that you could be doing in the bathroom that start after the number one that can certainly be a detriment as well. But that's enough procrastinating. Let's hit the set. It's just 4 sets of 3. So this is 5 kilos more. I talked for a while. That could also mean that I'm more recovered. And that's the kind of lie you have to tell yourself. Oh. All right. Woo. Again, not too bad. Let me check my camera, make sure I'm recording. We're at 28 minutes. We have broken the time barrier. Oh, and if you made it this far, you're probably enough of a psychopath where you're my kind of guy or gal. This is my snot towel today, which thankfully I don't reuse. I'm pretty sure if I did that, I would actually just be sick every day of my life. But when you train the cold, you need something for boogers. Doesn't matter how healthy you are, I feel like you still get a runny nose when you're out there when it's even mildly cold. I feel really good. I'm really surprised that these aren't more difficult, because I'm not really that hyped up or anything. And I'm kind of talking a lot between sets, but I put 4 reps in reserve again. That's what the RIR, if I haven't mentioned that already, is. It says 4 more kilos, which, you know, in real math, that's 5. Because if you count out by 4s, you are actually an absolute menace to society. And I don't even know if you're a real lifter. If you add 4 kilos to a squat when it's at this percentage, I don't know if you're tough enough for this salty spittoon. And honestly, I walk up to that guy at the salty spittoon and say, I'd take 50 kilo jumps on my squat, brother, and he's never told me no. Always lets me right in. And you don't tell him that, you know, I only do that twice or 3 times, and then I'm weak like everyone else. You don't tell him that stuff. You just lie in deceit till you get in. That's pretty prestigious, getting into that place, that is for sure. Now listen to me, 30 minutes in this video talking about the SpongeBob salty spittoon. Get ready for some more tempo squats. This kind of content that people love, I'm sure. This is internet lifting in a nutshell. Just trying to move this back a little bit. One J-hook slightly off. It's not really that big of a deal, but when you're kind of OCD in a minimal way, I suppose I probably do have a little bit of OCD. I mean, the fact that I bought new plates just so it can look better. My OCD is very focused. It's very focused on things I like. Because like cleaning, if I don't have the OCD about the cleanliness, of course, otherwise I wouldn't be able to lift out here in a shed. But the OCD about like the aesthetics of having all the nice plates on the bar is definitely something I got. But we're up to 150 now. We'll probably do the same thing. We'll add me to 155 after this, which will be the last set, which will be interesting. And the session breakdown for this one, it says it's moderate target range between 70 and 80%. And so theoretically, the goal when it's a session like that is kind of stick closer to what the AI has and not really, go up heavier off that. But obviously there's exceptions to that. Now, this is certainly a movement that I probably wouldn't recommend most people. I feel good today. I'm going to max out my triple tempo squat because you're probably going to wreck yourself for the next day training. But it is important to be a little aggressive with the weights. And going up 5 kilos instead of 4 is not really that aggressive. I think it's more logical because counting by 5s is morally superior than counting up by 4s. I know that deep in my heart for no reason. Only thing better than counting by 5s is by 10s. Or by 25s. Alright. So another triple. And hopefully make it look like the last one. Felt like all the other sets. Like it's feeling harder, don't get me wrong, because the weight's going up, but it's not an exponential level of difficulty. So I think it's going to have me put these weights on, or at least it's going to tell me I have 4 kilos, and I'm gonna laugh in its face at its incompetence. 4 kilos. The only time you should have 4 kilos is when you're hitting a PR. That's my hot take. Alright, let's see what it says. 154. Although, actually, to be fair to it, no, it said 4 kilograms. It's an actual menace to society. How could you add 4 kilos to a squat for working sets? It don't make any sense. It doesn't make dollars or cents, dollars or bills of any sort. Thought about after the set dropping the weight off behind me because I'm gonna do pulls after, but I don't want to do that because I have to take off some of the weight to do it. What are my snatch pulls at? I think they're actually pretty heavy. Oh, 112. So I mean, it's not nothing, but it's going to be less than these 2 reds. So it'd be kind of silly to drop the weight off and then have to take a red off. But we'll probably just start right at 100. I guess, I should just start at 70. Why not? We're already here. But we got 155 on now. And these actually don't feel too bad. I think the one benefit, I haven't really thought about tempo squats, it's a pretty obvious one too, is the control that you have on the way down. So you're able to really feel out where the bar is balanced. And if you're doing like any weird hip shifts, you can really feel that pretty well when you're going down. Because you don't always feel that if you're trying to be, doing a normal squat where you're trying to be dynamic on the way down. But I can really feel like where my back position is and everything. And I don't know, they actually feel pretty good. Wasn't really excited about them when I was seeing them on the first week, but kind of changing my mind about them. I think if we were like set to 3 in the pause squat, I probably wouldn't be as enthusiastic, but I thought that with tempo squats, so maybe I'll be a pause squat doer of some kind eventually. But tempos are good. Most variations of most things are probably good in some context, but this one's good for this session. And it's nice because it makes it feel a little bit harder, but I still don't feel like I'm working. It feels like I'm at the, I'm working correctly for the 70 to 80% for that moderate intensity. All right, so 155. This will be the last set of tempos. Oh. Ooh, my candy is bioengineered, so I'm not natty anymore. That's unfortunate. Tested positive for Sour Patch Kids. I eat too many red ones. About to say it was a perfect squat workout until I hit the plate on squat rack. But as far as the loading goes, it was really interesting. It felt like all the sets were like perfectly loaded. I'm glad I started at 140, which is like 8 kilos more than what was originally programmed, but it's not that big of a difference. Especially because, although my back squat, I think I put on there as my max as being 225. So it's pretty accurate to what I could actually do at this point. I think that 230 I missed during prep for my meet, I think is definitely there. Because I think, did I do 230? I may have done a little bit more. I think I jumped right to 230, but to whatever my set was before that on that day. But that 230 is one of the squats where it's so close. It was probably an inch or two from getting past my sticking point. But for training purposes, a 225 or 230 isn't going to change things too terribly much for the percentage work that you have to do. But when you are planning a program, if you are using your maxes or putting them in, it's always best to put a lower number and to be more conservative, because it's not like if you're doing a good program, it's not going to try to push your weights up. It's not like it's not going to try to get you a little bit stronger. You at least hope so. Unless I guess it's a peak program, then it's just trying to peak you, but the idea is kind of the same, to get you ready. I don't know. It's interesting. I figured I'd be a lot less motivated to train today because it's not that fun of a workout. Nothing's really exciting happening, but it's kind of nice in a sense because it's like an off day in a sense, to where I'm not doing the main lifts, so it's mentally easier. It's really easy to do 4 sets of 3 at a pretty light weights in the back squat, and then to do some snatch pulls, than it is to do a 70-80% snatch workout with triples or whatever. You gotta be a lot more precise. And not all my reps are perfect on those back squats, and I was messing around with just my balances or just trying to be balanced correctly. But if I did one that was a little bit forward, it's not gonna ruin my workout. I'm not gonna miss the rep. At least you'd hope not. Imagine a 155 back squat just took me out and I missed it. That would be a good indicator that I need to stop lifting for 2 months. I don't know if I've ever missed a 150 back squat. That's kind of a weird thought. I feel like I must have at some point. Definitely front squat. For sure I've missed front squats that weight, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you the last time I missed a back squat with less than 180 kilos. Front squats, though, I miss those suckers all the time. All right, so these are the triples and the snatch pull. So I'm going to do a single here, a single at 100, and then it says 112. So, you know, you got to go up to 115. It's just a pull triple. I think it's just a 3x3. But we're just going to try to do them the best. Be the gooder at step pulls. All right. Something that I was experimenting with on that the day where I did the 110 triple in the snatch was the bar path of the snatch and trying to do it more correct. So I think one thing that happens on my snatch, it was actually one of the adjustments when my friend told me I was like a little loopy with the bar, is when it gets past my knees, I think I just have too much space. So I was trying when I got past my knees just to kind of keep it closer, not necessarily to like scoop or like push my knees through, but just basically when I get here, trying to be more patient, because I think I get back happy and I try to over pull it here, and then it goes from, you know, being in a good position at my knee to having too much space, and then I come back and then just take that bar to pound town, which is, you know, not ideal unless you're getting coached by John North, and he'd probably be happy to see a snatch like that and tell me to do it more, but I'm not trying to have bad technique. So I want a bit lighter contact, but I also want an efficient pull. So obviously when you get past, keep it closer there. And I think that's why I did that 110 like I did, is because I was feeling better and I was able to reinforce that. And that's nice with the pulls. Obviously, you know, the strength with it is fine, but for me, I'm not here like, I don't know if I can snatch 115 because the pull's heavy. I'm more worried about trying to do the pull correctly and trying to do it in the same way I would do a snatch and practice the mechanics of it, which is certainly a luxury that I have. Because for a lot of strength movements, it's focused on, you know, just trying to like grit and get through this. But with these, like you have 100, like it's really light in any variation that I do. But because of that, you can do it very wrong. So it's a double-edged sword in a sense, because you can do a very bad snatch pull when you have a very good deadlift. But you can also do all the sets in the volume and recover really quickly from them, because like a 115, you know, deadlift triple or snatch deadlift triple, if you went, you know, pure powerlifter style with it, is a really light percentage. But obviously you want to move it fast and move it correctly. So that's where it becomes difficult, but everything's difficult when you're bad at lifting. All right, done another single here. Try to keep it close, past my knee. I don't know, I might be able to snatch that one day. And I know I said I was going to do 115, but that green started flirting with me. I don't know if you heard it. Might not be picking up on the mic. But that green started whispering me sweet nothings and said, yeah, 115's nice, but 120? That's a little bit more nicer. And you can't argue with the 10s. When has a 10 kilo plate ever been wrong? Not anytime I remember. And I've been using these things for 2 weeks. Haven't let me down yet. I'm sure it'll disappoint me eventually. Let's see. Go up by 8 kilos from what the AI said. So it's just 3 sets of 3. So it really won't be too bad, even with this weight. And I suppose that's the other luxury, is you have a lot of leeway with loading in a movement like this when your back and your posterior chain is not going to be limited whatsoever. It's just going to be trying to keep it in my quads, which is kind of always the focus, being a pull heavy or a pull dominant lifter in general. Posterior chain dominant lifter, I suppose, would be the better way to say it. But if you're trying to pull it correctly, of course, it's better to bias heavier weights. It just looks nice. Red, yellow, green. So I could write a nice song about that. It just looks nice. Ugh. So this will be a triple. It's also funny, the mentality is so different with pulls when they're light. I just don't have to get hyped up at all. Even like the squats, even though they're light today, like I'm focusing up on them to make sure I do them right. These are just, all right, just do them whenever. Like I could have dropped the bar with this weight on and just started doing my working sets with this, but it's obviously better to do some light sets too. If for nothing else, just to practice the technique. All right, triple. I'm trying to brush my quads at the same point on both sides. So I think sometimes if I tip to one side or the other, that also leads to, you know, bar path that's not ideal. But those ones felt pretty good. I was able to hit my belly on the second rep, which feels weird, but means I'm keeping it close. I think I'll spare you all from the bodybuilding work, because I'm sure this is like an hour long. Anyway, that's how much I've talked. Let's actually check the video. Make sure I'm not talking to the ether. 46 minutes. We're absolutely cruising. Whew. If you made it this far in the video, leave a comment, like blueberry, so I know that you're a freak. so I know to stay away from you if I see you in public, because who watches me for that long? Clearly not I. Although I'm kind of forced. I'm forced to watch me. In some sense, I get the first person experience. I think something in the past that I would do wrong with pulls is I'd say, I get 2 more sets of 3. I'll just combine them because pulls are easy. But I should keep them separate into these triples so I can pull them faster and think more about the technique and not just my ooga booga strength. A lot of things I struggle at, but my ooga booga strength is certainly ooga booga enough. All right. I'm actually feeling like next to my neck, between my trap and my neck, is tightening up a little bit, which is interesting, but it's a lot of the mobility work and massage stuff that I've been doing to try to help that area. So I think that's some of the instability in my left shoulder is not actually structural in my shoulder, but kind of upstream a little bit more. All right. Those again felt pretty similarly good. Nose is starting to get a little bit runny, which is another reason I don't want to do the bodybuilding work in this video. So I need to get some boogers out of my face, and I don't think that'd be very nice to subject you all to that more than I've already have. But one more set, then we're done. And really, that's like the main juncture of the session. That's probably one reason that like other sessions go well. Is like I'll actually do a light session. I won't just come out here and plan to do it and then max out 4 different exercises. Just get in some good work, and I feel good for tomorrow. And not just good work, but like, you know, practice of important things. You know, bar control and the tempo squats, and then the pool, and this. One more set of 3, and then we're on our way. In under an hour, which is pretty pathetic for only doing 4 sets of 3 and 3 sets of 3, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Dislike the video and unsubscribe? I know I would. Alright. Whew. Try not to sniffle too much. Alright, last triple. for today, but we'll see what I have tomorrow before I sign off for this one. I think tomorrow I got some normal lifts. Let's see what my Friday will look like. So tomorrow is snatch, power position clean, pause, jerk, and jerk, which my opinion of power position lifts is they're terrible and you shouldn't do them. Just do hangs above the knee or whatever. But anytime I've gotten it on any of the AIs, I just do hangs because I think power position lifts are actually bad technique to do. And if you're really good at them, it's just, to me, it looks more like a barbell trick. It's like being able to catch snatch reps with a hook grip and not just use straps. If you're doing like a snatch double or something, like I don't do CrossFit. I'm not going to learn barbell tricks to lift more weight in reps without straps, or do hip work, because I don't think that's useful or just good technique to do. There might be some validity to it, but I am certainly not in that camp. A little bit more so, I can see it being a little bit more useful for the snatch, but for the clean, I've never held the bar in a way that I would do a clean in like that hip position and think this is how I should do like a hip thing. I'd have to like arm bend or spread my arms out super wide, so it would just be a complete change to my technique. And what I have tomorrow is just technique work, accessory work after that. Then Saturday, my Saturday one is block above the knee power snatch, no hook, no feet, clean plus jerk, front squat, and clean pull. So quite a bit of work on that Saturday, which for me is ideal because Saturdays I kind of want to be the heavier day. But I'm kind of envisioning that tomorrow, and that's actually one of the adjustments that I'll make in a session like this. So tomorrow I might actually lift at the house, but I might change those block power snatches to be tomorrow and then have the regular snatches be on Saturday, since I'll definitely go to the gym on that day, and then have that day be more heavy, or at least have the potential to go heavier on that day. And at the house, I like the blocks here, plus potentially could do block power cleans, but I don't think I'd ever choose to do those unless it was programmed in. But at least like at the house, I'd be able to do what I would perceive as a easier movement, block power snatch versus a full snatch, and then save that for Saturday. Because the block power snatches, even if I went to like maximum, is only going to be like 105, maybe 110. But like I think my best power from the blocks might be the same as the floor, is 115. So like that's kind of the ceiling. Not that I would necessarily like be really trying to get above that, but I have a knot. Either have a knot, a tumor, or a pimple. That's the fun game that you can play when you're old. What bump is on my body? Thankfully, I think it's just from the bar, from the squats. But it's that or some good old back knee, which is always fun to have. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. I appreciate if you made it this far. My ramblings and just, I don't know, nonsensical talking about whatever. And if you did and you like this kind of style video, I do appreciate it if you let me know. But also, if you do like this video, I do appreciate it because I do like making them. It's nice to kind of come out here and ramble, especially, this is kind of the perfect session for, this kind of video, because there's not a lot going on that I have to like get really hyped up for. But now that I know I can record a longer video, I thought about doing like a live stream of a workout, but I have to use my phone, and then it just becomes a hassle, and then I have to depend on the internet to be connected the whole time out here, which I have unlimited data, but when you're out in the shed, it obviously isn't the best connection, so the video from it is usually not of the highest quality. But with this, theoretically, if everything works, then I have a good quality video, and I'm able to have a continuous mic'd up video instead of having those 20-minute breaks. But I don't know. We'll see. But that's it for this one. So if you made it this far, you're the real MVP, and talk to you all in the next one. Peace.